It's one of my big issues is the burden we're putting on the backs of the property owners, which I believe is unconstitutional. And my argument is in our Bill of Rights, our Constitution, and in our early tax code, it talks about proportionate to income. It talks about equitable rule. It talks about share. Nowhere does it say that it's all on the burden of the property owners. So I think in this hard times, we need to look at alternative revenue sources. They're going to propose gambling as an option. They're going to propose other options. Those aren't panaceas. The only true panacea, I believe, and the only fair, equitable, broad-based panacea is broad-based income tax. Things need to change within the state. There's no question about it. Things are going to get worse before they get better. Probably the next 2 years will be some of the hardest on any governor in history. And we need a revenue source, and we need a guaranteed revenue source. The only guaranteed revenue source are the people and their income. Not to mention, by implementing an income tax, we're going to bring some of the 18% that pay out-of-state income tax now, we're going to bring some of that back to the state. I'm pro-choice because as a law enforcement officer in the military, I've seen a lot of neglect and abuse. For that very reason, we can't guarantee every child is going to have a really good life, and there are many unwanted children out there. And although I wish there was a good home for every single child, and if that was, by the way, I may revisit if I could guarantee a good home for every single child. We can't. So for that reason, I am pro-choice. In addition to that, the radical right, not necessarily religiously motivated, maybe excess government motivated, wants to implement things like gun laws. They want to put them on universities. That kind of stuff incenses me. They want to go beyond the rational evolution we've come to, where we've made a determination that everybody carrying a gun is not the way to go. Wild West, for instance, Afghanistan, for instance, where I was for 6.5 months, people carrying weapons all the time. It's not a good thing. People think it's a deterrent to crime. It's a facilitator, potentially, for crime. Do I believe in the right to bear arms and protect yourself? Of course. Do I believe in the right to bear arms to go hunting? Of course. But there's a rational endpoint to that, and they've gone well beyond that. I'm an advocate of civil liberties, people's right to choose. Somebody a long time ago made the determination that there was a union could only be between a man and a woman. I don't think that's right. I think partnership, whoever you decide to be with, should be upheld. I'm the only advocate for legalization of marijuana, period. Medical marijuana is a stepping stone or a staggered step. It doesn't work to have to do something. California is having issues enforcing it right now because they've gone to the medical marijuana, but it's hard to differentiate what's legal and what's not legal. So state law enforcement burden has actually increased, so there's additional revenue you have to dedicate to enforcing the non-legal aspect of it. It's not the bane of society they make it up to be. Alcohol is, in fact, the gateway drug. Marijuana is not the gateway drug. Prescription drugs are a bigger issue. Synthetic drugs. We need to get off the focus of marijuana and refocus our funds and our efforts to the more addictive drugs. Never should anybody not be considered a major candidate. Anytime an individual wants to get out and espouse positions that they view democratic, they should be looked at as legitimate.